All right, we're live. Hello, everybody. We're back again with Healing Conversations. We're going to give you some time to come on in. Please like, share, start a watch party, invite people to watch. Give us some comments, give us some hellos or some thumbs up, some hearts or likes to let us know that you're watching and that you're on. So we'll know who's out here joining us. So say hello, and we're gonna just let you guys come on in and listen, and um, hopefully and prayerfully we will say something tonight that will energize you, that will motivate you, that will empower you, that will resonate with you during our healing conversations tonight. So we're just going to give you a little bit of time to find us on Facebook, YouTube. Give us some likes and things like that, and get started. And we'll be starting our conversation shortly. All right. I am trying to start. Put the wrong thing up. So if you're out there, please hello. Say, hey, Bert, how are you? Good to see you. Bert just got married a little while ago, so she's still in the honeymoon phase.
Congratulations.
She's still in that honeymoon phase. If you're watching, you can watch. You can watch on Mount Lebanon's page. You can watch on my page. You can watch on the Live Community Service page, and you can also find us on YouTube on those pages as well. So give us some likes and let us know that you're here. We want to know that we want to see who's watching. We want to know who's here, and let's get started. Let's get started. Like us, share us, start a watch party. Give us some likes and some hearts. All right. All right. So of course we know we've been talking about that happy place for a while now, and we wanted to just talk about today, talking about how sometimes we let our emotions get the best of us. Sometimes we know that that we're dealing with a lot of things that we're going that we're going through, because there's a lot of things that are going on in our nation, in our communities, and those types of things, and just in us in general, in our lives and stuff like that. So we just wanted to talk, excuse me, a little bit about how sometimes we let our emotions get the best of us, and what are some ways that we can help each other with not allowing that to happen. Okay, so please like us. I have people. Give me a second here. If you're looking for us, like I said, you can find me. You can find us on my page as well as the Mount Lebanon page and on the Thrive Community Service Facebook page. If you're looking and you're trying to find our chat and our talk. All right. So Miss Brown is remote today from Georgia. So doesn't she look relaxed from being in the South?
It's 85 degrees today.
Oh, wow. It's like 80 degrees here, actually. So it feels like summer. I went out on the porch and had to come in because the mosquitoes started bothering me. I was just like, come on. But it's like 80 degrees here. So I was just like, okay. They said it was going to feel like kind of like summery today. Okay. So that's good. Feel good over the weekend and things like that. So
In the refrigerator. Pour a little bit in a cup for him.
Hey, Nancy, glad you're watching. Hey, Renetta, all the way down in Alabama. Hey, thank you for watching. Hey, Miss Belafonte, how are you?
Hey, Bella.
Yes, Belafonte is on.
Hi.
Hey, we missed you guys.
Yes.
Yes. How are you? How are you? How are you? Yeah. So give us some likes and give us some share us and let's just have this conversation. So Ms. Brown, what do you think about our emotions and how they have the ability to control us? Because emotions are very, very powerful.
It's so funny that this would be the topic today because I promise you, yesterday I was in my feelings, okay? And it's a really emotions, I feel like, depending on who you are and what your past is, emotions can literally have a life of their own. And it's like a garden, right? Whatever it is that you allow to take over the garden is going to grow there. And so for me, being able to let go of anger is a really, really, really hard thing. Because I think maybe there's a part to me that was used to being upset or used to having tumultuous things occurring. And so when I get mad, like sometimes I don't want to pray about it. I don't want to let it go. I'm going to sit with it and I'm going to have an attitude and that's it. So making decisions based off of anger can destroy everything. And when I get upset, my first thing is to shut down and block off. Like, I don't want to talk. I don't want to discuss anything. I don't want to be amicable. No, I'm done. That's it. That's me. I'm done talking. Like, it's nothing to talk about. And so whoever it is that's trying to converse with me is literally trying to communicate with a wall. Because it gets to the point where I completely shut off my emotions. Like, I don't shut off the anger, but I shut off my reaction or my receptors. And that does block your blessings, because making major decisions rooted in anger or in upset, you can't really be in your proper mind to navigate what you should and shouldn't do. And I don't want anger to hold a space in my body, my physical body, or in my spiritual body, like to just be walking around angry all the time. So having to be able to let go, or knowing how to let go, even just being grateful or praying, like last night, trying to pray and then still hold on to anger. It's like, so who you praying to?
Exactly.
And
yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Children being okay, and for life being abundant, and for having choices is able to take that anger away. So understanding that spiritual base is so important, and that's why prayer and meditation is so important, because it literally takes me away from being on one level, that third dimensional level, which is just physical, where I'm able to be like, oh, he did that to me, or she did that to me. When I take it to the next level of seeing the whole picture and understanding that no one is doing anything to me. It's all about how I react or how I receive the energy that's coming at me.
Yeah.
And if I'm grounded in the knowledge that my higher power loves and cares about me, and that I'm always okay and always protected, then really it's kind of like when things happen, it becomes water on a duck's back. And so that's why it's so important to connect on that higher level daily, so that the things that happen in life won't just pull me from one side to the next, to the next, to the next. Because, honey, when I let myself go there, it's a problem.
Yeah, yeah. Because thank you for sharing that, because it is so true. Because our emotions are very, very powerful, and so our emotions can your mood determines how you react to things. You know what I'm saying? Your mood determines what you eat, what you buy, what you decide that you're going to listen to at that moment, what you're going to watch or not watch, and things like that. And so, I totally understand you. And those that are watching, don't get me wrong, when we talk about, your emotions getting the best of you, trying to say it's like a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to be uncomfortable and experience that uncomfortableness. But, what you don't want to do is you don't want to stay there. You don't want to get stuck in it. So that when you're stuck in it, it's like then you're not productive anymore. You know what I'm saying? You're not, you're missing out on your blessings. You're missing out on those things that that God has for you, that He's put in place for you, that He predestined for you. So I totally understand what you're saying, Ms. Brown. Sometimes, when you don't feel like praying about something, you know what I'm saying? When you just want to be where you are in that moment, you know what I'm saying? And then you got to look at it. And then, but thank God that, He doesn't hold that against us, because He knows where we are at that time. And then, He has His ways of just sneaking in and reminding you that I know you don't want to talk to me right now, but I'm going to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? And so even in you're not talking to Him, He's still talking to you. You know what I'm saying? He's still putting those things in your mind and in your spirit and in your heart, or placing you in situations, or allowing you to have conversations with people that you didn't expect to have, because you were in that place. So, being in that, God just, laid that on my heart for a while, about our emotions and how, sometimes they can get the best of us. And, we are in an uncertain time right now where there's so many things going on. People have a lot of anxiety. They have a lot of fear. People are depressed, what I'm saying, because, some are not working, and your hours were cut, or, you're trying to do things that you have not been able to do. So it's just like, so then when you get into that place where you allow your emotions to take control, over you. And just like Ms. Brown said, when sometimes that happens to her, she just withdraws. A lot of people do that. A lot of people, withdraw, when you let that anger get the best of you, sometimes that anger will cause you to do things and say things that you will regret later. You know what I'm saying? So then how do you take control of your emotions? You know what I'm saying? So if you're out there and listening, and you can, resonate to what we're saying, if, this is touching a nerve or giving you something, saying, let us know how, how do you deal with that? How do you control your emotions, or do you allow your emotions to control you? Saying control what you're doing, because sometimes when you shut down, depending on how long you shut down, you let things pass you by, you know what I'm saying? And then you find yourself still in the same place. So, but it's okay. It's totally natural to be in that place where you just like, okay, you know what? I don't want to talk to anybody right now, or say I just want to sit with it for a minute, because sometimes even in that sitting in being in that place. Remember we talked about, like, what was it a few weeks ago? What was he talking about? Like being in the moment. You know what I'm saying? And then if that moment has you in a bad place, or if that moment has you in a place where you just want to withdraw, what do you do in that moment? Because sometimes, just like I said, you're still. And when you're still and you're thinking things are not happening, and just because you don't want to talk to God in that moment doesn't mean that God is not talking to you in that moment. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean that He's doing some things in your heart. Renetta said, unfortunately, she shuts down. She blocks people out. But she continues to live her life even when she does that. Thank you for Renetta for sharing that. Renetta is my best friend since kindergarten. We've been friends for over 40 years. Thank you for sharing that, Renetta. Yeah, sometimes, yes, you can. Some people do that. You can get into a place where you shut down and you block people out, but you continue to live. So then there's a difference when you let your emotions control you and you choose and you stop living.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when you lose out. And that's when you miss things, things like that. And then sometimes that's when that depression or withdrawal can go a little deeper than you meant to go.
And I do see where it can be detrimental to relationships because when I get upset, there are times when I want that person that I'm upset with to feel what I'm feeling. And so the way to do that is with words, right? And texting is the worst.
Yeah.
You're not really communicating vibrationally. You may be you're communicating, but you're not hearing the person. They're not hearing you. But those words are going across that phone, and you could say a whole bunch that destroys something that you're building when you do it out of anger.
Yeah.
And the crazy part about anger is it can literally take someone maybe a whole year to feel at home in their home, right? To put everything the way you want it, right? To have that your furniture set up a certain way, to have paintings, to get that perfect rug. But honey, in anger, you could destroy that in a day.
Yeah.
And so anger literally can destroy in a day or in a few words what you've built or taken your time for years to build. And so sometimes having to sit back and be like, is this worth it? Like what you're about to say or what you're about to do, is this action really worth it? Are you that mad? And so having to go that deep and to look at, because your emotions are indicators. It's like a car, like you hit your indicator to let somebody know that you're going to turn left or you're going to turn right. Sometimes when we become angry, it's because we're triggered. Right?
Yeah.
And it's like a light switch. And that poor person doesn't know that your dad used to do the same thing or speak to you a certain way. And it makes you feel insecure or it makes you feel unsafe. And so now you're going off into something that has nothing to do with the poor person that's in front of you, or because you were triggered. And so understanding, one of the things that helped me to deal with anger is understanding what are my triggers. What are those things that make me feel unsafe? What are those things that make me feel, that take me to that place of darkness where I'm shutting down, I don't want to communicate, I'm not being amicable, I'm not understanding anything. That's important. And then understanding that in the end, love wins. So when we're not perfect, and when we say that we love someone, we love our family members, we love the people that we interact with, how do we communicate in love? Sometimes it does take for me to just sit with self, and then go back and deal with, who I have to deal with, because it can get too much.
That's true. That is really true. When we when we take control of our emotions, it helps us become mentally strong. So that's key, and that's important for you to get that when you take control of your emotions, it can help you become more mentally strong. It helps you. It's just like different other things in our lives, that we develop good communication skills, say we develop good interpersonal relationship with skills and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So learning how to control your emotion is a skill that you can learn how to do, and not let it control you. I used to tell kids all the time, I tell people a lot of times about giving your power away to people. Like, don't let other people control your power. Don't give your power away. Because sometimes people will do things just to get a reaction out of you. And when they do that, then they have the control over how you're going to respond and how you're going to react to situations or things that are going on around you. So you cannot give people, that power. So it's important that you learn how to control your emotions, so that you can, one, become mentally strong, right? So managing your emotions is not the same as suppressing them.
Mm-hmm.
So let's be clear with that. It's not the same as the suppressing them. When you suppress them, that means you don't deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it there. But learning how to control them means that you can identify that right now that you're angry. You can identify that right now you're depressed, or identify that right now that you're dealing with some anxiety, or or panic, or just that you're uncomfortable. Saying being able to identify that is good. Saying, because you're knowing how you're feeling in that moment, and then you're knowing what's causing. You may not know what causes you to feel that way, and then you may do know what's causing you to feel that way. Mm-hmm. It's just like what Marlon just said about those triggers. Sometimes that trigger can happen, and then you take something out on someone that it didn't even have anything to do with you, but because that person was a trigger, because they said something that triggered your mind, or they did an action that made you feel uncomfortable years ago that you have not had an opportunity to heal from, then you have that person or that situation being the brunt of that emotion that you're feeling. So it's good to be able to identify what you're feeling, and we don't want you to suppress them. We don't want you to not recognize, or not validate that what you're feeling is anger, or what you're feeling is sadness, or what you're feeling is whatever it is you're feeling, because we know, and that feeling is real.
But it's so funny that you say that, because being raised, like, I was born in Jamaica, so being raised in a West Indian household, we weren't allowed to show that we were upset as children, right? It was looked upon as being disrespectful. So a lot of uncomfortable feelings that we felt, we suppressed it. And the way that you're raised definitely affects you way into adulthood. And so I can see where there's times where I do suppress my anger and suppress my discomfort. And then an explosion happens, because it's like a volcano. If you keep on pressing down and holding down and holding down and holding down, after a while, an explosion is going to occur. And so I think being able to balance out those two things and understand that looking at our childhoods, looking at how our moms, our dads, our grandparents dealt with things, or how they deal with things, looking at our family history on how they deal with things, so that we can then sift out, and decipher what's best for me in my life today is really, really important. Allowing my children to talk about things that upset them, allowing them to have conversations, or even giving them certain advice. I didn't have that with my parents. And that's not to take away from who my parents are or who they were, knowing that they were trying their best with, the life that they were given. But just looking back in retrospect and seeing that literally it's like a tapestry of life that we're dealing with right now. Who you are is an additive of all your experiences throughout your path. And even understanding that the things that happened while your mom was pregnant with you affects you. Things that you don't even know affect you are affecting you. Trauma that some people hold in their lives and in their habits and in their practices. Some of those traumas are generational trauma that have been passed down from one generation to the next.
Yeah.
And so how do we now deal with those things, those generational traumas that are being triggered, that we have to cleanse from, that we have to heal from, that we have to excavate and look at and identify what is this and how is this holding me back and how can I move forward from this. So, it's a whole ongoing process that never stops because the world is ever changing, ever evolving. And as the world is evolving, so are we as human beings. Just attempting to create balance in all of what we've been given, basically.
True. That is true. Renetta said, many times we were allowed to be angry. Not allowed to be angry. We were told to be careful about what we said. Yes, and we're always told to be the bigger person. And at what point do you address the person who actually caused the hurt and hold them accountable?
Right. Right.
And then someone else said earlier, hey, Princeton, how do what you talked about having toxic family members? You know what I'm saying? When you have a toxic family member or, and I would even go further than that and not necessarily talk about, toxic family members, but toxic people that are in your lives and around you. And, how you're learning to manage dealing with them and dealing with those toxic situations that, that can cause you to sometimes lose your control. You know what I'm saying? Could cause you sometimes to lose your Jesus, to lose your Christianity, those types of things or whatever. So it's a lot to deal with, and like we said, emotions are so powerful. And yes, Renetta, we were taught, it wasn't good to get angry and things like that. So people were taught to suppress their feelings. You know what I'm saying? In particularly men. And not just men, but women. We were taught to suppress our feelings. We were taught to take care of the household, take care of everybody, do this, take care, and suppress how you're feeling about doing all this taking care. So I want you to suppress that you're feeling overwhelmed. I want you to suppress that you're feeling tired and that you're dealing with this anxiety, or that you're sad or you're depressed or you're just tired and you can't tell anybody that you're tired or that you're overwhelmed because you were taught not to identify your emotions, not to label them, not to talk about them, but to just deal with what's going on in your life and deal with it the best way that you can. So we want you to, I looked up some things and I just was doing some reading on just, how you about letting your emotions, take the best of you. And we already talked about, not suppressing them. We don't want you to suppress those emotions because you notice that when you ignore your sadness, when you ignore or pretend that it's not there, saying it doesn't go anywhere, saying it doesn't make that emotion go away, especially about that certain situation or that certain problem. And we already know that if we suppress things too long, they have a way of taking over. I'm saying, and we suppress things too long, we begin to have unhealthy coping skills. So then we try to eat our frustration away, we try to drink it away, we try to smoke it away, you exercise it away, all those types of things. So someone else said, you cannot explain certain things to your parents because you know how they will respond in certain ways, so you suppress things. So then what's that like?
And then also sometimes we attract that same type of person, right? As our parent, or that triggers those things that we've endured as a child, those uncomfortable feelings. So even being an educator and understanding like Black history, right? From slavery up through civil rights, Blacks have to sit and suppress and have some issues with their throat chakra. Because for many of us, speaking our truth meant death. Literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so think about the trauma that put in all of our spirits as brown people. And so you see in families where there's always at Thanksgiving and Christmas, and there's always a purple elephant in the room.
Yeah.
You know, those things that aren't said, that family member that has to be completely intoxicated and inebriated to show up. Why? Because they say if one person in the family is physically sick, they are demonstrating the illnesses that is in the whole family, but it's manifesting physically in that one person. So why is that person have to be so in another world just to show up for our holiday events? You know, so that whole emotional baggage that we carry as brown people it's always been heavy. And it's heavier now. It's heavier now with the not knowing about the future of the country, how our children are going to be educated, how families are going to maintain. All of those things are now on top of what we've already had to carry generationally as a people. And so, you know, holding space for that and understanding why it's important for us to have our ways of loving on ourselves and our ways of loving on our families, and why we constantly talk about that happy place, because we're a hurt, traumatized set of people. And so when you add trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma, you know, what are we going to get? Unhealthy coping habits. You know, unhealthy ways of living, always suppress that we have to know and hold fast to as brown people in this nation today, understanding historically what we've endured and knowing what's to come.
Yeah, that is that's very true. I was looking at I just glanced over at Renetta's comment about, you know, at what point do we address the person that actually hurt you and hold them accountable. And I was thinking about that when you were talking about, you know, those family members, you know, when they come and, you know, and you have that one that's, you know, that may be that toxic person, or that one that may be inebriated, or, you know what I'm saying, that just causes confusion and things like that. And so, but, you know, Renetta, I would say to you, I would say to, you know, other people who actually have that same question is that, you know, when you think about at what point do you address it, you know, saying that's something that you have to be prayerful about, you know what I'm saying? And you have to go to God and ask him, you know, to give you the right time and place to have that discussion that you need to have it. So, because you want the Lord to give you that right time and place so that he can guide you in that conversation, so that not only are you in a place to release that information, but that person could be in a good place to receive it as well. You know what I'm saying? And even if they don't do it, you've done your part. You have done your part. Now it lies on them, you know. So when you have addressed it, you have said it, you know what I'm saying, you have released it, you know what I'm saying, then, you know, that helps you to that helps you, you know, with your healing process. And, you know, there may be some points where you may not be able to release it to the actual person, you know, saying depending on, you know, if they're still here, you know, saying if they're around you or not, you know, saying that's why journaling is important. You know, saying that's why prayer and meditation is important. You know, saying for one, to keep your mind mentally strong, you know, your spirit mentally strong, but also to help you, you know, release those things when you are doing that. When you take the time to journal and those type of things. So, you know, we're talking about, you know, emotions and, you know, not letting them take control of you. And so it's important that we acknowledge our feelings, that, you know, while also recognizing that your emotions don't have to control you. So if you get up on the wrong side of the bed, you know, when you get up in the morning, you know what I'm saying, and you might not be in the best of the mood, you know what I'm saying, you have a choice and you have a decision to turn that day around. You know, so if you get up on the wrong side of the bed, then if you get up and then you pray, then that is going to help you. You pray and then you meditate. That's going to help you turn that day around. You know what I'm saying? You may have gotten up because you started thinking about what last night did or somebody else did or things like that, cause you to wake up with that attitude or whatever. But then, sometimes when you at the moment when you feel like praying, Miss Brown, and not sitting in that place, you can turn that day around, turn those thoughts around, and and not feel angry and things like that. So, there's some things that we want you to do. We want you to be able to label your emotions, saying we want you to label how you're feeling, to identify and acknowledge how you're feeling and what you're experiencing right at that moment. And, with, whoever's around you or the situation or even the person. And, how do you feel? Are you nervous? Are you angry? Are you disappointed? Are you sad? Saying just being able to identify and acknowledge, how you're feeling. So it's important that we learn to label our emotions and don't feel embarrassed and don't feel shamed about that, about, doing that. Put a name on it and keep in mind that you might feel a whole lot better once you're able to label and recognize and acknowledge how you're feeling in this situation or around those certain, different people, right? Remember? So that's one thing. So I'll tell you this, the other thing, minutes. But Bert put yes, thinking to God and pray, and He will lead you. Yes, He will lead you. Definitely, He will do that. When you at the point when you want to address that person or the situation and things like that, saying those are things that you can do to be able to cope with things healthy, in healthier ways, stop suppressing how you're feeling about situations, peoples and things, that suppression is not going to have that feeling go anywhere. It's going to still be there. So when that situation comes back up, it's going to still be there. We have to choose on how we want to start handling it and how we want to start dealing with it. And it's okay to be in those places, but don't, because we still have a life to live. We still have people to take care of. And so, when we're stuck in that place, we're not taking care of ourselves. You're not taking care of the people that you need to take care of. You're not taking care of your mind, body, and spirit. Right? So, we have to remember that. So I want you. So the second thing was, as I was reading and looking, it said, reframe your thoughts. So your emotions affect the way you perceive events. Okay. So if you're feeling anxious and you get an email from your boss that says that, says something that you want to hear, that's something that's right, you might assume that you might, saying it's just like when somebody say, oh, we need to talk. You immediately think that, okay, something is wrong. So we program ourselves to already always think the positive, the negative, instead of thinking about the positive. And so, and that's another way with allowing that emotion of that what's the emotion I'm looking for?
Is it anxiety? What are we talking
about? Yeah, anxiety, or when someone says, oh, we need to talk, or sends you an email and you just say, can we meet tomorrow, or something like that, you're just like, okay, immediately thinking, what did you do wrong? Or whatever, or are they unhappy about me or something, something? Because, normally, sometimes, most times when people want to talk to you, it's this to share something unpleasant sometimes with you. And so that programs your mind to start thinking that it's negative or whatever, instead of thinking and going positive. So reframe your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Don't think every time somebody says that they need to talk, or that say a particular thing that you immediately go to the negative. It could be something positive. And even if it's not, don't start thinking about the negative before you start thinking about the positive. What did Bert say? Bert is still responding to Renetta's comment about prayer is it's the way that she goes, it's to rebuke the devil and not allow him to get in your head, and wait to be led by the Holy Spirit in words and in deeds. Amen, Bert. Thank you, Bert. Thank you for that.
And then there are some
Hey, Jackie.
there's some toxic people in our lives, whether it be through familial, like family connection or work connection, where we literally have to find ways to protect our energy from. Um, and I don't think that we as brown people, we never learned physically how to protect our energy from some people. So if you're completely opened up to them, you can have an interaction with someone that can mess up your energy for the rest of your day, depending on if you know how to protect yourself or not. When you're speaking to them in proximity, if they're touching you, if eye contact, how you receive their energy, all of those different things. So I think it's important that we know who those people are. And sometimes you're not going to be able to, sometimes the people that are toxic, you may not be able to communicate with them if it's a parent and they're not ready to hear what it is, or how their behaviors affect you. Sometimes it's important. Sometimes we're so focused on talking about it with that person. Sometimes we literally need to process with ourselves first, right? To understand what are the feelings that are triggered when you're around that person. How do those feelings affect you later on? How can you minimize your interaction with those energies? Because if we don't know those steps, then it's like you're constantly just open to whatever that trauma is that person is putting up on you. And sometimes even in work situations, you have bullies who are grown. And so if you may have someone at work who you've seen how bullies act. And keep on nitpicking and nitpicking and nitpicking with that person. So sometimes people have life lessons that they have to learn. And it's just like when we were younger, when you were told don't let anybody bully you, but it looks different now when you're at work, right? Because you're afraid to say something because you think that you might end up getting fired. And if you get fired now, who's going to pay your bills? But I'm grateful that from being born in Jamaica and having trees that grow food on them, that I've never been one of those people to allow people to bully me at work. It's whatever you want to do, because if you're upsetting me, I'm going to let you know how I feel. I cannot sit with that fear in my heart and sit with it in my spirit because I'm afraid that I'm going to get fired. I thank God so much for that energy that I have, because I've seen so many people get bullied at work by grown-ups where you're like, wait a minute, this is not the sandbox. These are straight up grown women who are acting like that. I've had to tell principals to step out of my classroom. I've had to tell principals that they don't have control over the students, so don't try to check me in front of people. And these were supposed to be people that I'm supposed to be looking up to. No, but I'm not going to sit scared. I will not, because you're not going to treat me unfairly because you're looking for somebody to bully because you had a bad day today.
Yeah. That is so true, Ms. Brown. I mean, I'm the kind of person that, I used to be really quiet. So, if people are watching that, know me for years, could probably tell you how quiet I was. I was always quiet, you know what I'm saying? And I've always been this nice person, you know what I'm saying? So people have taken my quietness as a weakness, you know what I'm saying? Or my niceness, as a weakness, and those types of things. And, sometimes people ask me, why, why didn't I speak up, or why did I say something, in certain situations and things like that. And, for me, just like you talking about that energy that you have, I'm gonna put up here what Renetta just said. my friend for like 45 years just said. She said,
Quiet as a church mouse.
so people would people always think that, say it was because I was this fearful person, you know what I'm saying? And I just, resonated with you when you talked about that energy that you have in you. You know what I'm saying? And so, for me, my energy is, it's different. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when I'm sitting silent, I'm processing what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, people have asked me, why didn't you say anything? Or why didn't you speak up when everybody was just like going, yeah, and doing all this and all that kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying? And so I told my coworker one day, this was like, I don't know how long ago it was, but she said, "Well, why didn't you say anything in the meeting, or while we were talking and things like that?" I said, "Because the Lord did not prompt me to."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So if He ain't giving me anything to say, then I'm not going to say it. And it's not that I'm choosing to suppress what I'm feeling. You know what I'm saying? No, it's not. That's not the case at all. You know what I'm saying? If He's not going to give me what to say, then I'm not going to say it, because if I say the wrong thing, you know what I'm saying, and not being like, and that's not saying that I'm being fearful not to say it, but it may not even be the right place or time to say whatever I need to say. You know what I'm saying? So when He prompts me to say what He needs me to say, trust and believe I'm going to say it. And then there are going to be ears that are going to be ready to hear what He has to say through me.
Mm-hmm.
So I allow myself to be that vessel for Him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so I don't suppress what I need to say. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I will be sitting there and be like, and then the Lord will want me to speak, and it'll start bubbling up in me to the point where I'm like, I'm about to explode if I don't say what I need to say. And so then I find the opportunity to say what I need to say when I need to say it. You know what I'm saying? And to be very direct and clear when I say what I need to say.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, saying having that type of energy, saying I love that energy, and I love that connection that I have with God, and that connection that He has with me, so that I know when He's speaking directly to me for me to say something, for me to be in a place where He's using me as a vessel to speak to the people that He needs, to the people or the person that He needs me to speak to. Yeah. And that emotion, my emotion that could be coming out at that time could be anger, it could be a passion, or it could be, just what it is at that moment in time, you know what I'm saying? But, I recognize that, you said a few minutes ago about that energy, what I'm saying, and I realized that I have that energy, what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm blessed to have that energy and to have that type of relationship with God, so that, saying I know when He's talking to me in those different situations and stuff like that. Yeah. So, so if you're out there and you're listening, like we said, please share, please start a watch party, give us some comments and some feedbacks, put it in the chat, let us know how you're feeling. With us, we continue our conversations always. So, if you're out there and you're listening and you want to give us some comments and feedbacks. We've been talking about, today we're talking about emotions and how to not let your emotions get the best of you. And if you're just joining us for the first time this week, saying we've been talking for the past couple of weeks about your happy place. So if you're out there and you want to share with us what your happy place is, feel free to do so. Share us what your happy place is, and how have you been finding that happy place during the midst of this COVID? In the midst of virtual learning and working from home and working out from home and having church at home, all those things, share. Feel free to share those things with us, So you knew she was going to be walking by.
Mika!
Hey! Yeah. So if you're out there, hey Latrice, if you're out there watching, saying share it with us, still happy place, or share with how you're dealing with those emotions, saying, or do you let your emotions get the best of you? And saying, because we know emotions are powerful, and then we know that there are times when we choose when we're going to let our emotions get the best of us, and then we choose when we're not. You look like you.
So at our last workplace together, I remember being in a leadership meeting, and we sat in a meeting, a room full of people, maybe 20 people sitting in a meeting. There weren't enough chairs. So the men in the room chose to sit on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one, right? Because don't put our Black men on nobody's floor. Get some chairs. We in a school building. Let everybody sit so we can all respect each other. That's number one. And so there was a basically this question put out about, what is the problem, right? Because this school is a certain way. So what is the problem?
Mm-hmm.
The principal of the school and this newfound, God who came in the building to fix everything was there as well. So I'm the type of person, I pick up on everybody's energy in the room. And so I'm seeing our Black men in this room so anxious because they can feel the energy is off. Everybody is nervous. Everybody is anxious. And they pop this question and nobody could answer the question. And I'm like, you know what? Once again, I'm not going to sit here and let you play with my people like this because I don't care. You understand? Let me go. It's okay. That's all right. Mm-hmm. And I straight up, I couldn't hold it. I was like, you guys know what the issue is. You guys have had numerous meetings. So instead of us sitting here and going around and doing this, why don't you tell us what you think the issue is? So, because we teach our children to tell the truth. Yet as we get older, we sit in these meetings and hold our tongues because we're afraid. Because of $1, you're not going to let no dead presidents let me hold my tongue. If I'm going to have to get fired from this job, then do it. But what I'm not going to do is sit in here and let you disrespect all these people in here who've been working before you walked in the building. So, allow your students to be bullied, I don't respect that.
Was I in this meeting? I'm trying
to. No.
Sure.
You weren't in there because you would have remembered.
No, yeah, I probably would have
remembered that. You would have remembered that.
I remember that meeting. Yes.
You would have remembered that meeting. But it's so funny because everyone else that was there who has the loudest of mouths, who say whatever, nobody was saying everything. Everybody's shaking. Nah, that's what you want us to be. You want us to be afraid. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'll figure it out. But I'm not going to sit in fear because I know my God got me.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do? It is what it is.
Yes. And it's it, and you can definitely see what's been going on in the community, that people are tired of being silent, and just Renetta put in her happy place is her craft room. Yeah, that's her she shed. She got a she sheet. It's her craft room, and that is her happy place. And of course, Renetta has retired. She's retired for 20 years in the military, in the Army. So thank you, Renetta, for your service to our country. So she has been crafting. Yes. Doing those things. That's probably why we've been best friends for so long, because we both like doing the same things. We like being creative and doing, things like that. So, but yeah, totally, Marlon, I totally understand what you're saying and understand what you're saying because that goes back to that suppression, saying about, when we suppress, and then, like I said, saying, we choose and decide when we want to control, when we want our emotions to get the best of us, we want them to control us, and when we don't. When we think about anger or sadness or, depression and those types of things, and granted, sometimes, we may not have control over some of them, but you can control what you do with it, you can control with how you're going to react, to it, if you didn't get that job, if you didn't get that, that loan for that house or whatever. Maybe God didn't want you to be in that house. Maybe that's not where he wanted you to be. Maybe that's not the job that he wanted you to do. You know what I'm saying? So you got to continue to put your faith and your trust in him, you know what I'm saying? So that you know that when he's ready for you to be in that place, he's going to open the right door for you to allow those things to happen. So in the meantime, don't let those emotions get you so far down that you're not productive anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That you're not living your life like Renetta said. You know, she may shut down, she may not want to talk to people, but she still chooses to live. You know, you still have a choice to decide whether or not, when those emotions come up, and how you're going to interact with people, how you're going to deal with them, and how you're going to let what's going on around you affect you, you know, and those types of things. So, you know, we're getting close to our time, and we want to, you know, thank you guys for, you know, for watching. Because, you know, Miss Marlon, do you have any closing remarks before I give mine?
Always try to do a spot check, because they have this thing called HALT, right? So when your emotions come up, you ask yourself, are you hungry? Are you are you hungry? Are you angry? Are you lonely? Or are you tired? Because you know, having those feelings can trigger anything. So if you're hungry, or you're angry at something, you're lonely, you're tired, and you feel these things are coming up, then just take a minute, try to see if you can meet your needs, and adjust your emotions. Because depending on who you are and how you deal with your emotions, going to certain places can cause things to happen that can be detrimental. So being able to say to yourself, all right, what's going on? How can I balance this out so that those emotions can come back in line, you know?
True. I like that. I wrote that down. You know, do a spot check. You know, you say if you're hungry.
Are you hungry? Are you angry? Are you lonely? Or are you tired?
Okay. All right. All right. That's good. That's good. We're going to remember. I put that down so we can do a spot check next week when we get together again. Yeah, do that. You know, that's a challenge for you guys this week. Do your spot check this week. And you know, checking yourself to see, seeing how you're feeling, and when you're doing that spot check, and you're realizing, you know, you're identifying if you're angry, hungry, lonely, or tired at that time. And if you are, how are you feeling when you're there at that moment? That was something actually I did read that when I was looking at some of the things that would about when we talked about letting your emotions control you and things like that, and about, you know, how are you how you're feeling when you're in that, when you're in that place, saying. So yeah, do that spot check, saying. That's where that spot checks help you label your emotions, helps you realize, like, okay, so if you're feeling angry, if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling hungry, if you're feeling lonely, then how are you feeling in that moment? Saying, what is the feeling? So label it, saying, are you feeling frustrated because you're feeling lonely? Are you feeling anxiety or because you're lonely? Are you sad because you're lonely? Those type of things, saying, being able, are you disappointed because you're lonely? So being able to label your feelings when you do that spot check, we want you to do that. So that's our challenge for you this week. By the time we come back next week to do that spot check, so We, as always, we thank you guys for listening to us and tuning in to Healing Conversations with Breaking the Silence LLC, with Thrive Community Service and Calm Holistics. We always enjoy our time with you guys. We want you to, just a couple of things before we leave. Don't forget about the virtual health ministry that Mount Lebanon Baptist Church has. That virtual health ministry is here to help you if you need help with housing, medical, mental, emotional, if you need help with COVID, if you need help with food, if you need help with rental assistance and those type of things, we're here to help you. It does not matter where you live. We are just, we're just the host here in DC. So it's open. It is a nationwide thing that we're doing. So if you're listening to me and you're in Alabama, or if you're in North Carolina, saying, you can call me at 202-765-1435. We will get you connected to services and resources that are in your area, because the system that we use is based on your zip code. It's not based on your income. It's not based on any of those types of things, but it helps you identify the places where you live that is around you, and resources that you can tap into that's in your own community, in your own neighborhood. So if you are in need of any type of help, or if you're in need of prayer or just someone to talk to, just give me a call, 202-765 1435. This Saturday at 11 o'clock, we're doing our second virtual day of care. And so the topic for this weekend is Learn the Truth, the myths and facts about the flu and the COVID-19 vaccine. So we have Tiffany Powell Wiley, who's a track investigator at NIH. We have Dr. Melissa Clark, who will be talking with us about some of those things. And then we have our own Mary Douglas, who is a member of the Pilgrim Rest Baptist Church. She is a breast cancer survivor. So she's going to be talking on there because this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So just to let you guys know that we do plan to talk to some survivors this month on Healing Conversations. So on one of these Wednesdays that we're going to be talking as we reach out and identify and lift up our survivors of for breast cancer awareness. So we thank you guys for listening. We thank you guys for always tuning in. If you're watching the afterplay, hello, how you doing? We hope that we fed your spirit today. We hope that we fed your soul, your mind, and we hope that we helped you grow, release, or anything else in that manner. If you're listening, and some of you may know and remember my battle scars, so I'm bringing battle scars back. We have not been able to go out in the community or to do different events. So if you're out there today and you have some things that you want to let go of, you have some things that you want to release, you can inbox me those things. You can inbox me. I will put them on an index card for you. And this weekend, when we do our bonfire in the back, we're going to burn those things, those scars in which people are letting go and releasing. So if you have things that you want to let go and you release, you can call me on that number, 202-675-1435. You can inbox me on Facebook if you'd like, and you want to write those things. I'm going to put a Facebook post up about the battle scars, and you can write those things in there that you want to release and let go of. So, and if you don't get a chance to do it this Wednesday, it doesn't matter. We're going to do it every Wednesday at the end of the broadcast, give you guys opportunity to write those things down, let them go, so that we can release them at the end of the week. All right. So, be blessed. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for having us. Thank you, Bert. You're welcome. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you, Renetta. Thank you, Crystal, for always watching. Thank you, Latrice, and all those who are listening to us.
Bella.
Thank you. Yes, Bella Fonte, my birthday twin. That's my birthday twin. Thank you for watching. It was great for you to seeing you tune in. We want you to always remember that your energy
is your medicine.
Yes, we are working on the t-shirts and the long sleeve shirts and the hoodies. They're going to be coming out soon. We will send you a link where you can order your own. So your energy is your own medicine. Recognize your thoughts, label them, reframe them, and get out of your head. All right. Have a great evening. God bless. Bye-bye.
God bless.